This is the book, The Golden Age of the Moors, edited by Ivan Van Setima. Uh, this here is the actual autograph of the late great Runoko Rashidi, January 28th, 2017. You see all of the great authors in here. You got Ivan Van Setima, James E. Brunson, and Runoko Rashidi. John G. Jackson, Dana Reynolds, which is Dana Reynolds Manichi now. Uh, Wayne Chandler, Jose V. Puente Bay, Jim Carew. We got Yusuf Ali. Edward Scooby, Mamadiao Chinyalu, Beatrice Lumpkin, and Saihan Zitler, and Ivan Van Setima, and James Revel. The African general Bo Abdil, which is Abu Abdallah, surrenderer to the Spanish Granada in 1492. This is the man responsible for turning blacks over to Europeans into slavery. Starting with the Spanish Inquisition, the very first page, the very first paragraph, say the Moors in Africa and Europe, Ivan Van Setima. I'll go a little closer so you can read with me. It is generally assumed that the movement of Africans into Europe in significantly large numbers and into positions of real power did not occur until the Muslim invasion of Spain in 711. In al-Makri's History of the Mohammedan Dynasty in Spain, however, we learn of a great drought that afflicted Spain about 300 years ago, a catastrophe that was followed not long afterwards by an invasion from Africa. This, of course, had nothing to do with the medieval Moors, with which this book is primarily concerned. But it is worth noting here about because it actually established an ancient African city in Spain, a fact that is omitted from the official histories. The drought that devastated Spain, however, is described by a number of Spanish historians. Pedro de Medina, in Libro de las Grandezas de España, published in Seville in 1549, dates the drought at 1070 BCE. Ibn al-Khatib al-Makri, in his major historical work translated by Pascual de Mayangos, describes in it some detail. It is al-Makri who also informs us of how Africans banished from North Africa by an African king against whom they revolted entered Spain and took control of the country. The leader of the Africans is recorded as Batricus. What his original name was, we do not know, but it survives as Batricus in the Latin and Roman because it was the Romans who defeated these Africans in 157 years later. These Africans first cast anchor at a place on the western shore of Spain and settled at Cadiz, advancing into the interior of the country. They spread themselves about, extended their settlements, built cities and towns, and increased their numbers by marriage. They settled in that part of the country between the place of their landing in the west and the country of the Franks in the east, and appointed kings to rule over them and administer their affairs. They fixed their capital at Telica Italica, a city now in ruins, which once belonged to the district of Isbala, which is in modern Seville. But after a period of 157 years, during which 11 kings of the African race reigned over Al-Andalus, they were annihilated by the Romans, who invaded and conquered the country. The second major intrusion of the African army into Spain before the Moors occurs sometime around 7 BC, during the period of the 25th dynasty in Egypt, when the Ethiopian Taharkah was a young general, but before he had been seated the throne by his uncle Sabataka. Page number 2. It is this same Taharkah referred to in early Spanish chronicles as Taharkah that led a garrison into Spain and invaded it during this period. We have a clear and indisputable reference to this in the manuscripts by Florian de Ocampo, Chronica General, published in Medina del Campo in 1553. The name of the invading general is given as Taharkah. He is not only identified as head of the Ethiopian army, the reference is more specific. It says that he later to become the king of Egypt. The name, the period, the historical fact of the general, and his later kingship of Egypt, his Ethiopian origin, and the wide-ranging trade and exploration of the Ethiopian in this period all attest to the validity of this reference. But most persuasive of all is the fact that the cartouches of the Upper Egyptian kings of this period have been found in Spain. Evidence of such cartouches may be found in the Journal of the Epigraphic Society, Volume 7, number 171, April 1979. The cartouche of Shishonk, a Libyan king, was found in tomb 16, Almonikar, Spain. The Libyans ruled with the support of Nubian armies from the 22nd to the 24th dynasties, and were overthrown by Nubians in the 25th dynasty. The fact that Africans from the north had been intruding into southern Europe from very early times should not come to a great surprise, but to Chris Harris and those of that cut from that cloth, it seems that it does. Y'all want to talk about Kemet and how Kemet ruled the world, but when someone want to show y'all facts about Kemet outside of Kemet, you people freeze up and get silly and stupid. You know what I'm saying? But I'm here to teach you, and I'm here to show you right. And guess what? This is coming from an Israelite historian. All right? The cartouche of Shishonk from Al-Manikar, southern Spain. To the left, the actual cartouche as engraved on the alabaster trade vase found in tomb 1-6. Amilcar Courtesy Institute, what's that? Archaeological Alim de Madrid. To the right, the cartouche as rendered in the British Museum style. This and another similar example show how carelessly even royal names may be rendered by ancient scribes. Evidence of contact between Spain and Upper Egypt in the first millennium BCE. Chris Harris said that there were no white people in Spain or in North Africa or in Africa prior to the Alhambra Decree. And I'm telling you, for a fact, this is false information.